Yes, sir. We absolutely do. I hear you on all that. Now, that leads me to a very important question that kind of has to do with what you're saying about society, being behind in certain areas of needing to connect to nature more. And so I wanted to ask you, how would you describe the current state of the world, our planet, and our people today? What do you think that there's some things maybe that they're going through, and how do you think they could get out of it?
The current state of our society today.
Yes.
Well, I live in America, so I'll talk about that. As far as global society, I've been in a couple places, but I don't know much. But in America, our society is very absent of unconditional love. We have created a world that is mostly based upon fear and servitude and competition. And we have a lot of growing to do. As a society, we are very separated, and that it requires a lot of mending. What American society was built on, forced labor, slavery, certain people while others remain free. Mm-hmm. And we can get into the details of all those things, but we're aware of the shadow that looms over us of the massacre of the native and the aboriginal people of this continent, and then the enslavement of others of other continents to create this world. And so this nation that we have here today, and yes, this modern society was birthed out of the ashes of that, and wars and civil wars and world wars and all the wars that took place. And today we're still looking more like a economic war and economic slavery and a mental bondage and mental change. And we're watching people in America, with so much gifts and so much talent, being controlled, being put on chains, put on leash, being used to control the masses, and the sad things that the people have had to endure here in our society. And society still deserves love. It still deserves redemption. It still deserves for us to come together and to do something about, the woes. Not just continue to point blame, and the things that have happened here in this world, and that, a lot of it is really, really fucked up. It's really messed up things that have taken place, and we can point a lot of fingers at this point. But I'll say that for what I do for a living and the kind of in touch I am with the earth and the cosmos, there's a lot of things that people do not know is going on behind the scenes that have caused these things to take place, and the people interfacing with the people interfacing with the people interfacing, as it goes up and up and up and up, and you'll never understand the real truth of these things. And the only thing that's really going to heal those things is love and forgiveness. The state of this world, let's be realistic, is gruesome. That's the truth. And the things that we have to come to terms with ourselves, for the most people want to run away from it because it's violent. And again, like I said, it's gruesome. But we can do something about it. The plants, the nature, they teach us something about unconditional love. They return us back to the celestial nature, to the spirit world, to the other world, to the cosmos. Remember the abundance of energy and love that is there, mercy and grace and majesty. That even if dead, you can be resurrected. All the way out, down and out, you can be redeemed. And that this is the way, this is the true way, this is the way back home. And that unconditional love is the only force that can essentially transmute primal fear, which is what we have all become to be, is in primal fear. We are primarily in fear every day, stressed out, don't know what to do, and for the most part, we don't know what's going on. We don't know who's in control. It's hard to trust anybody. All the things happening with the world, something simple as COVID in America, but it happened all over the whole world. But in America, we can see, well, damn, we're questioning who's in control here, because the reality of these things is that the way that it was all planned out and how everybody did it really just affected a lot of people negatively. It didn't help anyone, and you call it a crisis. And we had no way to really do anything for anyone properly, and it's not really about the people dying. That's a real thing, but it's about the people that were still alive still too. And we focus a lot on the things about the people who was dying from COVID, but we wasn't focusing on the things about how we was treating the people who are still alive, and we're still here in this world right now, every day dealing with this, potential threat, and how we dealt with that, and the way that it affected everyone's psyche, and we just created a more separate world. Not to get too in depth with it, and just to kind of wrap it up.
Yes.
We created a more separated society with social distancing and not talking to each other, and wearing masks all the time as a way to be able to interact with a masquerading fake love. You have this fake thing going on, and you really care. It's fake. It's not real. But everybody's afraid of getting sick. To wrap it up in a nutshell, and the ways that we behave because of that only created a more separate society.
All right, yeah. Well, the current state of the world is sometimes, not something that is easy to be heard, but it's definitely real. If we want to do something about it, we should definitely start having these conversations. So thank you for sharing that. There's a lot of things going on. A lot of people are waking up, like you said, focusing on those who are alive and how we treat them through these quote-unquote crises and pandemics. We know at this point that the human mind, is capable of so many different things. So, while we're here in your Tree of Life Technology group, can you enlighten us a little bit on how our bodies of technology play an important role during this shift? How can we begin to make those changes to be more in tune with unconditional love, with our thoughts and our mind? What do you see for our bodies of technology in that way?
All right. Well, I'll say, it's important for your body and your mind to work together. So, certain things that's happening with us as human beings is that, it's getting diseases in our bodies, and that's showing us that we have lost the understanding that the body has the ability to heal itself. So there's something going on with our body and our mind, and the connection there, and of course also not knowing that, and not knowing something, the power of the mind is that strong. They have the placebo effect. They give you some fake medicine, sugar water pills, whatever, and you heal yourself. So when your mind is believing that you're healing, and then you have the ability, your body kicks in and heals itself. And so we understand something like that the body already has the ability to heal itself, but the mind just has to be in cooperation with the body and the emotions, and that we have going on, and that we have emotions that's also attached to our thoughts and our mind about, getting sick, and it can cause us to be, maybe not make good decisions in our life, or panic or something like that. Then that's just saying that your mind is not really in harmony with your body and your emotions, and you're out of whack. And once you pull those things in the center and work together, it's like, you understand that there's an abundance of energy. Things like thoughts, it block the flow. You'll say it like that. It blocks the flow of energy when you're always thinking, when your mind always stressed out. So being able to relax your body so that your mind stands still, and that you dissolve the turbulent emotions, the ocean of emotions that we have in our subconscious, that we're able to calm that down. And when we calm that down, the energy pours in. And there's an abundance of energy in the cosmic ether, in the air, and what we cannot see all around us. And so it's and like Bob said, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. So it's realizing that there's no need for you to ever be thirsty, because all you gotta do is calm down, relax, still your mind, relax the ocean of emotions, and in comes the energy. And comes the energy for you to understand you never have to be thirsty, you never have to be hungry, you never have to want. Yeah.
Yes, it's like the glass half empty, glass half full perspective, just remembering that you have control, and there's so many different things going on in the world. Children having to walk miles for water, like you were talking about. In our current society, American can be really spoiled in those ways that we forget those things because they're not covered in the media or anything like that, which is why we're here in this group. So thank you so much for your perspective. I did have 2 more questions before we're finished here, and I actually wanted to jump right into, before we go, the question that I'm sure is on everybody's mind, and that is, what is the Tree of Life? Can you tell us more about this plant medicine that grows here in Hawaii and your connection to the plant teacher?
So the Tree of Life, as the elixir, is different than the Tree of Life itself, which is what I'm referring to. The Tree of Life is the human body, right? And So the Tree of Life elixir is plants inside of there that are able to come together and to wake up your nervous system, to activate it into a state that's similar to the way that a child's nervous system works, where it allows you to say something traumatic happens to you. You really cry like a baby and you go through emotion and then you bounce back and you're right back into your life and you don't really miss a beat. And it's the way the nervous system works is that a child who is taken care of, it feels safe and it grows. And the only time it's stressed out is if something happens and it cries, and then it goes back to its state of happiness. And the nervous system works in such a way that it helps the immune system to fight diseases all the time, and for it to always be happy despite if something bad happens. It might do something wrong, get scolded by its parents, and then go jump right back into doing the thing again. And so that's telling us something about the body that, like, as an adult, over time we have lost access to this, and the ability to have so much energy, to feel like not so bogged down by the thoughts of our mind, and to be weighed on in such a way that we feel depressed, essentially. And the Tree of Life, I am not necessarily disclosing all the ingredients of it, but I'll put up a few ingredients out there, and we have a couple of plants that is native to Africa, the bamboo tree, the bark inside of there. It's a miracle plant in there. They have to use all the plant materials in the country. We have they call it the passion flower, which is lilikoi, how we call it here, flower and vine, and then we also have some rare leaves tea leaves from Brazil, and they call it chacruna. So there's a couple of beautiful things. They're very rare plants. Cost a lot of money. It can only be found in certain shamanic practices throughout the world. That you study all of these things and then you can understand what is safe and not. And it's been, for me, it's been studying since I was 20 years old. It's been over 16 years, and doing these things, understanding that specifically, and traveling and learning. But as medicine is the safest way for you to have those plants ingested in your body, to be able to experience something that a lot of times it takes people a long time to learn how to meditate, to learn how to relax, and take deep breaths and all these things. And it's sort of like a hack. These plants make access straight to your nervous system and help you relax. Sometimes at first you gotta lay down, and a lot of things are going on with our minds a lot. So this plant is a medicine, and it's, in my opinion, I say it's alive because the plants are alive. So, it is a teacher, and it is a combination of plants that are allies to each other, and to me, of course, the plant, pilot, understand that, the chef, the teacher, how you want to call it, I make the medicine and things like that. So, it's a beautiful combination of plants. That's the best way I can say it, that help to activate your DNA. And I say that our plain puts the energy and magnetism back into you.
Nice. I love it. All the plants working together in unison, like unified with you. And yeah, that's really beautiful. Humans should definitely take note. Thank you so much. One more question before we wrap this up. I wanted to know if you could share with the audience why we have ceremonial space in the first place. I mean, what is the purpose and what's the end goal?
The ceremonial space, it's a very, very deep one. This whole thing started off as just me wanting to help out with PTSD and post-traumatic stress disorder and people suffering from addictions and traumatic childhoods, and psychology degree that led to me finding this medicine. And I say that I was raised in church, gospel church, and when I found the medicine, that was the people was meditating. So that was meditation and singing. I had been into meditation myself a little bit since a few years by that time. And so what I originally seen with the ceremonial space was that it was important to come here to hold that space so that we could all come together to drink that medicine, and to wake up. And to realize that a long time we have been walking around acting as if because we're individuals that we're all separate. And it's really not true. And it helps you to see something that makes you all connected. And so in a world where people don't believe that, and that for the most part, even though there's religion in church all the time, that we don't really have medicine to show us these things, and people don't commune with it that often. And really me seeing that I was one of the only black faces that ever really showed up to these things, and did meet a lot of Native Aboriginal people from around the world, but still the same thing was kind of going on with that as well. And it's a long story. It's been going on with the world for a long time, and the classism, the racism, the sexism, and all those isms still existed inside of the church version of drinking this medicine. And so I was a psych major, science person. I was raised religious. I was really not into the religion. However, I did see the importance of us coming together and being able to have this medicine planted as a teacher, and that nature was definitely correct, and that there was a lot of things for us to learn, and that I know that we didn't really have this where I was from, where I was raised and born in the cities in New York City. Like, the places I went to college and schooling, still this wasn't there. So I'll say basically, why I feel the ceremonial spaces are important. It's because it's a very rare, thing to be able to do. Number one, to have the plant medicine brewed right, correctly. That's important to be able to commune in a way that you're protected, that you have someone who knows what they're doing but also resonates with you. I've seen a lot of things out there. I seen a lot of not so good things. Already knew that there was a lot of not so good things going on. So I was a little bit, protective of myself as well as the places that I would go, concerning this plant medicine in general. However, despite knowing all the negative aspects of these things, I still know the value of the plant medicine itself if done correctly, and that it has the ability, under guidance, to free people from addictions, past traumas, PTSD, severe personality disorders, and all sorts of psychological problems, that have happened to us over this, modern, time. The importance of us coming together really is about unity. That the ceremonies are just a sort of a blueprint thing, that really what we need to do to collectively together as families, as a community, and eventually as a nation, to be able to understand that the current nation that we have is so disconnected from nature that it's bound to collapse. It's bound to fall down. So the end goal really here is to have people wake up and do something different. We don't need to fight. People want to fight a lot. They want to protest and do all these things. I'm simply here to do these ceremonial things, to wake people up in a sort of just respectful, loving, merciful, compassionate way. Let's not sit here and try to demonize the ones who are fucking everything up. We already know that's the case. And at this point, it's sort of the fate. And we don't need to focus on it in a way that we feel like we have to go after it or change what it is that they're doing or try to tell them to stop. What we need to do is protect ourselves and create something new. There's a lot of world, there's a lot of space, there's so much that we could do if we just come together, just putting aside our differences. We don't have to worry about all the woes of the world. We know there's woes, that's why we're coming together. That's why we need to do this, why we come to this summer, sit down, drink this medicine, and wake the fuck up out of us amnesia that we got going on with ourselves. And that you need a real person to come to you and tell you these things, because I feel like I didn't have that, and I got it in a non-physical way, and I got it from nature, and I got it from my ancestors who, as time goes on, I'll be able to introduce you guys, to these truths, and that, this medicine is going to be able to show us where we really come from, and, this is past, the things that we've been taught in our society, to the truth and the understanding of our true origins, and why it is that we are here, and why is this big change even happening, and is it our society is so devoid of love, and why is it like this, and the shit is collapsing, and things are going bad, and what are we gonna do, and so there is an end goal, it's like we need to do something about it without being violent, without being angry and mad. We can be angry and mad, but we don't need to behave angry and mad. We can do something about it without all that. We need to talk about the things and deal with the things and go through the things and come together despite our differences, despite our problems, And there's all these different unions and nations all over the world, yet we have not been able to come to terms with dealing with our problems, our separateness, our classism, our sexism, our racism. Even in our own religion, we have segregated people based upon race. And this is about God, supposedly, about the soul and the spirit, and about heaven, on earth, they say in the prayer. So, where is this heaven on earth? Well, I'll tell you something. I see God in the actions of man, how we act, how we behave. There shouldn't only be one God for some law. There should be only one God in the singularity of faith, that we all live on the same planet, living under the same sun and moon, breathing the same air, and that we're using the same resources. And as different as we may be in uniqueness, individuality, we're all sharing together in oneness. And that we have to learn how to reason with each other, mature, grow up, deal with ourselves. There's a lot of that not happening. Instead, we choosing war and violence when people don't do what we say. And I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it ends with what it is that you're doing. You want to be brutal, your life shall end brutally. And that is the truth. Let us teach our children mercy, compassion, grace, majesty, love. These are important things, simple things. How we need to remember to refer to our Creator and our ancestors, and to deal with all this heavy energy with compassion, with love, and all this heavy ways they taught us to behave that are not necessarily good, but to deal with it with compassion and love, and to transmute these things and understand that we experienced it and know that we learned from it. And that's the goal here. To learn from these mistakes and to do something better. Come together to wake up. And those who will listen. Let's be real, everybody's not going to make the shift. The world and the civilization that we live in is falling down. And we can see clearly with the past events over the last 2 years that those in charge, I'll say simply, they don't know what they're doing. And that if they are in charge, it was really easy for someone to simply press a button and the whole world was en masse. And we have to say something about what's really controlling what here and how serious that is. The version of the person who has that much, or the beings that have that much control over the world, well, they live in fear. And They live in fear of you and me and of themselves and of what could happen if we understood things for ourselves. If we could just not even need them. And that's what all this is about. It's continuous, going through this society that wants you to need it. Wants you to need it. To get up and go to work every day and punch the clock and to buy the things at the store. And without you doing any of it, would it exist? Would any of it exist? Well, I'll say this, it wouldn't exist for long. But it requires your sustenance to survive. Everything that's built in this nation and all nations across the world requires people to partake in it. And if you don't partake in it, it doesn't exist. So in the end, I'll leave you with that because you're the one who has the control. You have the ability to change it. But will you?
That's the golden question, will you? And I think this all comes full circle with our Tree of Life technology. So we do have the technology to change these things. So, thank you for providing ceremony and giving people a space to really work through the things that, we often run from, may not want to face, and giving us a really compassionate outlet, like the medicine, to help us become more in tune with our innate technology. It's truly a blessing. So that is pretty much the majority of the questions I wanted to ask you. Before we go, I just wanted to know if you had any overall words for those who have already been to your ceremonies, those looking to return, and any messages you'd like to get out to newcomers.
Well, I just want to say I love you all out there, the human race, everybody who's ever come in side the ceremony with me. That's what a beautiful blessing to be able to experience unconditional love that we create there in that circle. This beautiful plant medicine and amazing pilot. I say the ceremony is like getting on a plane, and there's a lot of passengers on the plane, but really there's only two pilots. There's a backup pilot, the kid's a pilot, don't know what he's doing, and then we got autopilot. You know what I mean? We're cruising altitude. But the rest of the people is on the plane and they don't really know how to fly. That's true. But we're all on the ride. So it's important for safety for everybody on that ride that pilot knows how to fly. And I say that to everybody that's coming and everybody that's already came and people that see me here and gone and now see me coming back, and that's what it is that I'm here doing, and I know how to do it, and that I continue with my work every day to continue to be able to work on myself so that when we get there is the most refined space that we can come to be comfortable and to do the thing that is so hard to do. And I say every time we drink this medicine, it takes courage to come and let go of all the programming and the lies, and to leave fear and to join love, unconditional love beautifully. And that I commend all of you who's ever taken that step, and all those who shall, in the future to come. And that this is about a brand new world, that is the ancient past and the ancient future. Being born right now in this present, and that I look forward to the beautiful things that shall take place, and I wish you safe journeys out there where you are, and send my love, and look forward, like we say in Hawaii, Hawaii Ho, until I see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Afara Waa'daa'dah boy. Thank you for sharing your perspective. I'm sure they are just as excited to see you too. I'm sure it's been some time, and we all look forward to re-alchemizing and changing the world, because something needs to be done. So thank you, sir, for putting on the big boy pants for us and getting everybody united. It's truly a blessing. Thank you.
That's it.